Okay, so I have somehow managed to grab the time of Mr. Steve Cote himself, and I figured what better than to use this time for an opportunity to talk a little bit about what does this introduction of the direct replacement category mean for our partners, the retailer out there?
Well, for the retailer, it represents the opportunity to talk to customers who, up until this point, have felt that there is no solution for their car, felt out in the cold without CarPlay, without Android Auto, without a solution that doesn't involve a cable being draped over the dash,
Right, yeah.
right? I mean, because nobody wants that. I mean,
No.
nobody wants a sticker on their windshield or any of that. And I happen to have had experiences with customers here at the show that have nothing to do with the 12-volt business that are expressing an enormous amount of interest in this. So I think that for the retailer, having the opportunity to talk to 3 times as many customers as you could before is an enormous opportunity with a product that's 10 times the average sell of a JVC product.
Right, so I want to kind of go back to that, right? You just made a statement of like you've had the opportunity to talk to people outside of the industry, right? So correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think when I overheard you telling this story, you were saying that you were sitting at breakfast, eating with somebody, discussing this product category, and the people at the table next to you got into your conversation to ask you about this product because they wanted it for their car.
Yeah, it was for a 2018 Infiniti QX80.
Yeah?
This fellow's wife owned this car, didn't have CarPlay, said it was going to cost him tens of thousands of dollars to fix the problem because he was going to have to buy another car. I said, no, actually, we're debuting a solution for that car.
Right.
He immediately tried to buy it. I said, no, we're just debuting it. It's going to be a couple of months. Gave me his card, insisted that we get in touch with him with a solution to his dilemma. And
But-
this is the solution.
To me, that's the most exciting thing about this, right? Is you're gonna have the opportunity to get those customers, and a lot of people may think like those customers aren't gonna be knocking on the door. And they may not be at first, but when you help them understand that something like this exists, I think you would agree, like those customers are gonna be coming out of the woodworks because they have lived their life with their time with their car full of frustrations of not being able to do the things that they see everyone else doing. I mean, you buy a car like an Infiniti QX60 or QX80, like you mentioned, and you expect that car to have good features, right? Because those are supposed to be like the creme de la creme of what Infiniti Nissan has to offer. But then when you look at that and as time ages, those cars become outdated really fast, like having a 2015 Infiniti that has no CarPlay, like you just mentioned in the other case. So to me, it's exciting in that aspect. We're expanding vehicle coverage, but also when we look at like the future of our industry. You know, with some of the statistics that we looked into, as far as compatibility on changing radios out of cars, those numbers are dropping drastically, right? We talked a little bit about that, didn't we?
Yeah, in 2019, we were able to fit 50% of the production of vehicles with an aftermarket radio. In 2022, it's dropped to 19% of those vehicles. And with this new form factor, with direct replacement, we can now address 70% of those vehicles, which is 3 times more customers.
Right.
There aren't many times in the existence of 12 volt where a form factor has allowed us to talk to 3 times as many customers.
Right. So one thing I would add on that is I was talking to my friend James from iDataLink Maestro. Some of you may know him. And whenever I was talking to James, he and I were talking about the research they did in this category. And when they went back into the flashes of the iDataLink Maestros, because they retain all that information, they used that when they were developing this category to kind of see what year ranges, what vehicle types were like the prominent models, you know? So obviously we started with a lot of Fords because that's one of the largest vehicles that are having radios changed out in the country, while also being one of the largest manufacturers in the country, right? But one thing that he pointed out that I thought was really cool, and to kind of go back to your 2022 point, a lot of you may be thinking, well, we're not really doing a lot of radio replacement in a 2022 vehicle. And you may be right on that because like Steve said, 19% of those vehicles, it's possible to do it, but that means 70, 81%, right, of those cars, it's impossible to change the radio out anyways. So you're not seeing a lot of those in the Bay right now. But what was really cool is he said when they went back and looked at that information, the average flash ranged between a 10-year-old vehicle to a 14-year-old vehicle. And that was like a massive peak in that research that they were doing. So the majority of the vehicles right now that are being worked on are 10 to 14 years old. So if we use that to kind of fast forward to the future, that would mean around the time of 2030, which sounds like some crazy futuristic number, but the reality is it's only 5 years away, right? Around the 2030 timeframe, that number, that's really low number, around that 19%, so on and so forth, that's gonna be the reality for then. And as a company, we have to continue looking towards the future and doing our best to make sure that those customers 5 years from now are going to have a really great solution to have an option to change that out, right?
Right, and of course, this form factor allows the retailer to maintain his business at a level that's profitable for him because A, we address a new customer, and B, we have a price point that allows him to continue to do business because right now, you have singled-in radios that are under $100, and it's really difficult to make a living selling singled-in radios. This is not that.
Right.
This is, 10 to 20 times that, which is fantastic. And the consumer doesn't expect to pay $100 for a radio. They expect something along these lines. COVID taught us that. So we're delivering that. And JVC has been delivering innovation for decades. We delivered the small format camcorder. We delivered VHS. We delivered compact disc technology, which I know is all old legacy stuff. But here we are doing it again, right here.
Right, continuing to look towards the future of where our companies are gonna head. Okay, so I made it a joke earlier, but seriously, it's always an opportunity, a great opportunity to have time to spend with you. Thank you for sharing the little bit of it that I did get to steal with you. I know you're a busy guy. But as we go, I'd like to give you one chance to leave all of our friends with a final message.
Well, Josh, it's always a pleasure to be talking to you. I like to spend time with you. And I think that this bears an enormous amount of attention and investment from the dealers that would see this because this is the future. This is the key to succeeding. This is the key to maintaining and growing your business over the next 10 to 15 years. It's essential, frankly, that you do this.